This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Clueless with mentions of Gossip Girl, Euphoria, and Moulin Rouge. For full list, please see show notes. There are also conversations surrounding fat phobia and disordered eating.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing the 1995, I'm guessing, cult classic Clueless,
which is based on Jane Austen's novel, Emma. And one thing that's interesting about this cult classic is typically, I think historically that we've been sharing with some of the films that we've been discussing is that they don't do so hot in the box office and then they kind of make up and become cult classics later in the future. And this one had a $12 million budget and it made $56.6 million at the box office. So they hit their baseline and then some.
I just checked it is 1995. I pulled that right out of my ass. Good job.
Really? I was like, no, that sounds about right. And I thought you knew it. You're just trying to be casual that you knew that information off the top of your head.
Not at all. Not at all. Also, traditionally on ACOFAE, when we do these movie episodes, we like to start by sharing our background, if we have any, about the movie. And Laura Marie, dying to know about your experience, Jessica Marie. Please tell me.
So I can't wait to hear yours because I feel like we learn so much every time we do like one of our film deep dives. Like we know in the past, I knew about the soundtrack before the movie. I was definitely too young to see it. When I didn't see it in theaters, I definitely saw it at home when I was older. I think I was in 8th grade, maybe it was the first time I actually understood Clueless and the context. But I definitely knew this. I felt like I remember knowing the songs before seeing the movie. And the soundtrack is great because I think I played the movie and I was still bopping along with all of the tracks. What about you?
It's so interesting that you say that because my first thought was, my God, this is not a soundtrack movie at all. That was my first thought. I was like, none of these songs, well, with the exception of like a couple, none of these are like bangers that you go out and sing. I don't sing that Mighty Mighty Boss Stone song. I sing that other one that they have. That was my first thought. That's so funny that you say that. You learn something every day. My first experience with this movie is very interesting and probably not at all what you expect, Jess. Probably not at all. Once upon a time, back in the day, there used to be a cable network called USA. And USA used to show movies. And USA would take those movies and edit them for TV and then throw in commercials. And that is how I have seen Clueless for a majority of my life. Is edited for TV. Is that not crazy?
So you've never seen the film entirely through till this watch?
Oh, no, I have.
Oh, okay. But that's like your first experience with the film.
It's the majority of my experience with the film.
Okay.
Is seeing it on TV. One of those movies that when it's on TV, you're like, oh, I'm watching this. This is the whole experience.
Is this like, remember when I think it was Mean Girls, for our Mean Girls episode, you were saying I had never seen Mean Girls in its entirety, but you had seen it so much piecemeal together through one of the movies on TV?
Yes.
Okay.
But even like Mean Girls has more of a presence on social media than Clueless, I feel like. So I see Mean Girls more often than I see Clueless clips. So my experience with Clueless is the edited for TV version, where like Travis, it's not a bong. It's like something else. Right. And some of the jokes are like not there and some of the scenes are cut and it's a little bit different. So watching this, I watched this on Amazon Prime and I watched it, so that I could see the X-ray trivia. Like, God, I just want pop-up video back for just like everything. Why is that so hard?
Wait, so did you even know about the Clueless TV show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I knew about the Clueless TV show. Like, I knew about all of this. I knew it like aired for a while, all of this. I need you, Jess, to understand that my love of Paul Rudd started here. It started here.
Yes.
And one other thing before we jump into this conversation. Okay, we have talked about weird sibling relationships. We've talked about the Mortal Instruments. We've talked about Game of Thrones, Gossip Girl. We've talked about House of the Dragon. We've talked about all these weird sibling dynamics. Yes. I have said previously that those sibling dynamics do not bother me because I do not have siblings. I have always been a little bit weird about this one.
Really? Which is so funny because there's the part where right at the beginning, Mel goes, we divorced parents, not children. And then, but like you can see watching it a little analytically for this one, I was just like, they're making it such a point to make sure that they don't see each other as siblings either.
Yep.
I feel like but then when Josh is all like, are you really concerned about this party? Blah, blah, blah. And I never noticed it until this watch. And Mel goes, do you want to go to the party? And he's like, I'll keep an eye on her for you. And he watches him walk away and he's just smiling to himself like, it's definitely one of those, like, he fell first, she fell harder. But I think he's definitely, once he fell, he was all the way in.
It's just, here's the part that, so, okay.
But she's also 16.
That is it. Because she's 15 at the start of the movie because it's Christmas, and then they're talking about spring break,
and she's like, my birthday's in April. Yeah.
So she's 16 at the end. He's in college. It's weird. It's weird. I can't justify it. It's always been weird.
And I want to, like, if people are like, oh, well, if she was 16 going on 17 or whatever, in the 90s, and even when we grew up, specifically in the state that we grew up in, you can get your permit at 15.
Yes.
That has shifted pretty much in most states to permit in 16. And you knew the laws were different because I remember that was like, but if they're 15, I go, oh, she has a permit. I go, oh, but even the permit laws were there because it was like, you can drive without an adult, but it had to be within certain hours.
Yeah. Yep. Permit at 15, license at 16. Permit has a ton of rules. Yeah, of course you can get tickets anytime. I mean, the whole thing is just so perfectly quotable. But no, it's and also too, he's 18, like moving through his freshman year, turning 19. I don't love it. Okay, here's the other thing. She's like, stay for spring break. There'll be some great parties. Why does he want to go to high school parties? He's in college.
Yeah, but you have to remember, there are some times, like I remember my freshman year of undergrad, then you want to go, sometimes you want to go back to your senior, you hang out like that first spring break. You're still talking to everybody you knew in high school your senior year. Like you haven't broken that bridge yet. And also it's different. Like for my experience is different because my brother was still in high school. So the friend groups are still really similar. I don't know, but that comes with the sibling dynamic.
Exactly. It's just, so me, no siblings, finds this whole thing So fucking weird. All right.
And usually I'm the I'm the one who's like, no siblings. Cause then I thought about it again with the Gossip Girl, where how Serena and Chuck still consider themselves siblings, even though the parents are divorced. But they still, like, Lily still sees Chuck as her son, her stepson, everything. But then you want to argue with fucking Lonely Boy when they actually share a sibling together. I'm so, like, that is a harder sibling line than Serena and Chuck.
Yeah. It's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. Okay, no. Clueless. Let's pull it in. Clueless. All right, here we are. Clueless.
Do we want a quick character rundown?
I want a full character rundown. Give these characters their due. Give it to us.
Okay, so we have Cher Horowitz, who's played by Alicia Silverstone. We have Dionne Davenport, who's Stacey Dash. We have Josh, played by Paul Rudd. Ty, played by Brittany Murphy. Murray, R.I.P. for real. Murray, Donald Faison. Travis is played by Breckin Meyer. And didn't you say that Breckin Meyer was in Josie and the Pussycats? And he's in other movies, like 90s cult classics that you loved too.
Can't Hardly Wait. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's all over.
And then there's Elton, who's played by Jeremy Sisto. And he aged really well. I haven't seen him in anything recently, but he aged so well that he was on a show on ABC called Suburgatory, and he played like a hot single dad. It was great. And then we have Justin Walker, who plays Christian. I think those are and then Elisa Donovan, who plays Amber. And I just want to shout out the director, Amy Heckerling, because she was the writer and the director who also wrote Look Who's Talking, Look Who's Talking To, and Look Who's Talking Now, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But like the Look Who's Talking series, those are staples.
Yep. The talent. My God. The fashion.
You would still wear those things today.
Give me the closet. I'm still waiting for my dream closet. Right. Where is it? Why isn't this standard?
How does this still not exist? And there's a line that she says in this. She goes, I like to take Polaroids because like she just trusted it more than the app. And it reminds me of that. I saw a hack on socials that said, take a picture of you in an outfit and save it in your notes app. So you got a actual image of, when you put together an outfit in your head and then you put it on together and you're like, this isn't what I wanted. So it was the equivalent of that, putting it in your notes app. It was Cher's equivalent of taking a Polaroid. So she could say like, does that really go as well as I thought it would?
Oh my God, I love it. All of these things. Why doesn't... Okay.
The technology is there. At this point, the technology is there.
We went to the moon. Like, come on. All right. I love this movie. This movie is like visibly dated, of course, but it is also classic and iconic. I know what you're thinking. Is this a Noxzema commercial? It immediately, I think if you were alive during this time, it immediately sets the tone. And that if you weren't, that you would kind of miss that, right? Because you're like, wait, what?
Does Noxzema even exist anymore?
Maybe.
It did.
It did. Maybe. Maybe that's the conversation to have. But the Noxzema commercials used to be like that, like frolicking and like doing.
Look how carefree we are because we don't have acne. That was the selling point.
That was the selling point because we're beautiful and young and like, look at us. But no, this is not a Noxzema commercial. This is just like Cher's life. Kids in America. We have our normal life with our normal closet. Oh my God. I have to say right off the bat that I love Cher, right? Yes.
How can we not?
I don't know.
But there's also a ton of people who we love that people are like, how can you like that person? We're like, you know what? Okay.
You know what? Exactly. But I love I love Cher. I love all of her dialogue. And I love the way that she introduces us to her world, because we get the like broader perspective from the opening montage. But then she introduces us like, Daddy's a litigator, the scariest kind of lawyer. $500 to fight with people.
I get to for free.
Because I'm his daughter. And watching it, I think, with a more critical eye, because again, I haven't really seen this movie in total or like, you know, in full as an adult in a long time. Cher does manage that household.
Yeah.
She runs that. She's on top of her dad about eating right, doctor's appointments. Like, you need to do this. We're going to see my grandparents. Like,
you need to be in contact with your grandparents. Like, yeah, and you know, what's nice is he acknowledges it too.
Yeah,
which
he does.
So it's so easy to not.
I love him. This is also the lawyer from the Addams family, the original. So love him. Always notice him as a lawyer. Just fantastic. He's a good dad here.
Yeah, you can know and I like in all aspects, because even though he's not, you know, technically Josh's stepdad anymore, he's like, you're welcome into our home anytime. You always have a place here. Oh, you're looking to be a lawyer. Let me help guide you. Let me give you those experiences that you wouldn't necessarily get as a freshman. You know, and he's I don't know. He's always hands-on. And I will say it seems the other way with Josh's mom, because even when she calls the house, Cher picks up and she's like, oh, hey, sweetheart, like whatever happened there, even if it wasn't amicable, that doesn't seem to have affected the kids who were involved. And I do respect that.
Which is a very nice, healthy representation, which you don't see very often.
No, especially in the 90s when, I mean, you see it, like even now, everything can be like really strained. But in the 90s, when everything is so glossed over or in a stereotype bubble, I thought it was nice and refreshing.
Well, it's Paul Rudd. He's refreshing, and he's always refreshing. Okay, Josh is coming. This is the whole you divorce wives, not children. I love that. I love that statement. And I know that, just as you said in the beginning, it's hitting us over the head that they are not related, Josh and Cher. But I also feel like you don't hear the sentiment of you divorce wives, not children, being so plainly stated, because he was like, period. Like,
yeah, there was no conversation about it.
Yeah. Like, that's it. That's done. He's coming. This is what it is, Cher. You grow up. And I did really like that. I cannot think any other example of this issue being so clearly stated off the top of my head. I really can't.
In a non-reality TV, no.
Yeah. This is like a lighthearted comedy, but this is like a full-on life lesson. Here you go. Like, file this away. It's important.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, which is like so fun. Okay. Jess, how were you learning to drive? Were you just as good as Cher picking up Dionne?
In true Southern form, I was allowed to be in front of the seat of the car at like 13, driving my, just practicing. And then, just like in typical, when you have your dad yelling at you over a math problem, he yelled at me for something and I freaked out and I hit gas instead of brake. And then I was not allowed to be behind the wheel until I started working towards my permit. And for context, we were like, it's Florida. It was near a marsh. So I was not allowed to like drive into any marshes anymore. Granted, it was on a dirt road, but we don't fuck around with alligators. So I hadn't. What about yours?
Was I a good driver? Yeah, no. I learned to drive again younger than I should have in a cemetery.
Okay.
In a cemetery. That was in Detroit. That was also in Florida. There are cemeteries everywhere. And they're all dirt roads, and you can't really hurt anything that can't be repaired. So off I go. And yeah, so by the time, okay. I had a Dionne freeway moment.
Did you?
I did. I had a Dionne freeway moment, but my dad was in the car with me.
Okay.
So it was.
It's always dad's teaching us.
I know. My mom said she didn't have the stomach for it. So I never had a Cher driving, hitting random things and like blowing through stop signs and stuff. No. By the time I was by myself driving, even like with my permit, I was like good to go, you know, aware.
I will say, even like we've known each other since we were minors, and I've never not felt safe with you driving in a car.
I'm very aware.
Like any time of day, it's always been really good. That, you know, and I will say, in fairness, I was recently in LA and I was taking whatever route the Uber driver was taking me. We went from the suburbs and all of a sudden we were on the freeway, like that division. And I was watching the scene. I go, no, the freeway really is like that in LA, where you see like, and it reminded me of, and then when I was thinking that through, I was thinking of the roads by you in Denver turn into freeway and then suburbs too. So I go, is this like in my head? I'm like, now I'm thinking, is this a Western thing? Because we don't have that here on the East Coast.
Yeah, you know, interesting. It might be. That's something to kind of look at, right? I was thinking about you, Jess, when he goes, everywhere in LA takes 20 minutes.
And you know, I say that in Jersey all the time. It's like 20 minutes away. But nowhere in LA there's so much traffic. It takes at least like a good, I was staying in Beverly Hills and I had to go drive over to Burbank and I was like, oh my gosh, nothing. It's only 20 minutes in the middle of the night when there's nobody on the road. That's what it takes, 20 minutes. But I guess that, you know, he was saying you should be home in 20 minutes.
You should be home in 20 minutes.
It was night and she was driving from the valley. So maybe Mel has some context there. It was in the middle of the night. She should be home in 20 minutes.
Getting back to this driving scene, I want to acknowledge this dig that is just so casually dropped. Dee and I are named after famous singers that now do infomercials. Whoa, the disrespect on Cher's name.
And Dionne Warwick. But I mean, definitely Cher. I wonder when, my best friend's wedding came out, because I feel like Dionne Warwick maybe had like she got out of it because they were all singing Say a Little Prayer.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, but
Cher, the disrespect.
Woo! It was like, woo. I'm Just a Girl. I said there's a few good songs in here that I was just like, woo. I'm Just a Girl is playing in the background. Love it. I also love this little dig that Cher gives to Dee. He's like snaps for her fashion choices. Dr. Seuss, like, okay.
Yeah, okay. It seemed very backhanded. Like, couldn't be me. I respect you. You're so brave. It did.
Like, okay. Then we have...
We're friends because people hate us.
Exactly.
We're friends because we know what it's like for people to hate us, to be jealous of us. I thought it was so cool.
This high school, my gosh. We have the walk up of the introduction of Murray. Oh, Murray. Which is so funny.
Because you can tell, like, Cher's like, I can't deal with these high school boys. I just can't. They're gross. I get it. But like, good on Dionne and Murray. But Dionne drags him to hell and back with a audience every single time. She's like, whose hair, whose lock, whose braids are because this isn't mine. Mine are fully intact in quality. And he's like, how do and then he says, is it that time of the month, woman?
Her eyes go.
And you see Cher like, I'm outie.
First of all, I love Mr. Hall. I love the actor that plays Mr. Hall. I love all of
Sean Wallace.
Is that his name?
I love
him. I love him so much. Second thing. We all know that Alicia did not know how to pronounce Haitians.
I did not know she did not know till I watched this. I thought it was
Scripted?
adding to the character. And then in our little Amazon Prime pop-up video, it said she didn't know how to say Haitians, so she kept saying Haitians. And Amy Heckerling was like, keep it going. We're not cutting. We're not doing another take. This is perfect for her character. And I do like Cher's takes in debate class because I feel like, and we talk about politics and current events and stuff all the time. And in general, news and politics and everything in between can feel overwhelming and daunting, especially when people are using vocabulary and making it confusing for just like regular jargon. And you have Cher coming in here, dumbing it down for all of us. And you're like, oh, this absolutely makes sense. She goes, we know the funds are there. You just have to reallocate everything. And then everybody can RSVP to the U.S. And you go, good for you, Cher. Good for you.
And of course, frenemy Amber is like, whatever. If she doesn't do her assignment, I can't do mine. What the?
She'll do anything to not do the work. I would hate to be in a group project with Amber. She's the worst.
I know. Speaking of Breckin Meyer, I have an insight. I should be nicer to my mom. I love him.
You know what's really good? Everybody, Cher, especially in the beginning, she wants to drag Travis. Oh, he's a slacker. He's a loser. He hangs out at the grassy knoll, blah, blah, blah. He has the purest heart out of, he's so just like here for the vibes, here for a good time. Everybody's favorite hype boy. You're up at what are you? And then even Mr. Hall goes like, Travis, what do you think of this debate? And he goes, 2 thumbs up, totally would recommend. Like he's the kid. Even what is it when they were doing his tardy, number 1 in the class. He was his own hype boy. He's like, okay, this wouldn't be possible without you all for socializing with me in the hallways and like making me late for class. Like this is yours too. His heart of gold, that boy, our favorite little stoner boy.
Favorite little stoner boy. We just love him. Although if he could save the unaliving attempts until next period, we would love that.
On a first floor classroom. That was my favorite.
Like the bush is right there. Like
it was like, yes, we knew it was a multi-level high school because of the stair scenes and stuff. But knowing that classroom was on the first level.
It just makes
not laughing at unaliving attempts, laughing at the first floor.
Too funny. It's just too funny. And of course, this starts off our plot with Cher needing to negotiate her grades better because report cards have come out and she got a C in debate.
Which honestly, Mr. Hall was harsh.
Yeah, that was harsh, Mr. Hall. That was way harsh. I love how Cher calls Dee in the hallways on those big old cell phones.
And also, I think it shows that how ahead of their time they were in that generation, well, in those years in high school, because I feel like they were the only ones with cell phones and probably their parents and obviously Josh, because everybody else was pagers.
And Cher does have a pager because she pulls it out during dinner. It was like, it's Dee. It's Dee. Oh, it's so good. Okay. So, obviously, I think it goes without saying that you can't negotiate your report cards. I definitely couldn't negotiate my report cards. That shit was set in stone. How about you?
Well, and also they didn't have, like the report cards were written. Yeah. Ours were you also had to get your report card signed. They were digital, like all of the things. I think at one point they started mailing home our report cards. And so our parents knew when to expect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our parents had to pick them up at the PTA meeting.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, we had, like clockwork. There was no excuse to, if our interims, or they knew what time and when our report, that was the first thing we were asked for. They had to be on the counter, but if we took the bus home, they had to be on the counter before they got home.
Yep. Horrifying, all horrifying. Okay. I love Cher again teaching us about her 1972 classic home. It's too funny. It's too funny. Her house is 901 Drury Lane and at 90212. However, that real house is in the valley, which is funny. Very funny. We have a dead mom trope. Trigger warning. Dead mom portrait right here. Isn't she such a Betty? Love it. I love it.
She died from a freak liposuction procedure gone wrong.
Freak liposuction. We love that. Here's Josh.
Josh and Tro, we love so much.
Here's Josh. Here's this college station, right? Cher comes down. Josh is eating, and he does the thing that you never should do. You're feeling out. Pinch, pinch.
And then I hate that part. And there's a lot of fat phobic comments in this. Yeah. But on the other pendulum, you have Cher like, I'm gonna have candy. Let's make it a caloric day. Let's just binge. I mean, I know that's the other extreme of like unhealthy food relationships. But it was there's a lot of commentary. I mean, even Ty at one point, she's like, does he not like me? It's because of my hips, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. This is what it was like. I guess, this is what it was like. This is true. This is accurate.
Yeah.
It was the 90s. If you had to be there, I guess. I love that Cher makes a dig to Josh about like, tell me that again about Kenny G. About how to be cool again.
I like that she always humbles him.
It's good. It's good. Here is where Cher says, like, he's not your dad. Like, he says, like, oh, I went to dad's office. He's not your dad. And then again, Josh says, like, I want to stay here, but I got a place near campus. And Cher's like, don't stay here. Like, why do you want to stay here? Of course, this is all flipped by the end of this movie, which is so fun. They go on their little journey. I love the family dinner between Dad, Josh, and Cher. I love this. Why do you want to go into environmental law? You have a miserable and frustrating life. He will have that no matter what he does. Drag him, Cher. Drag him. I love it. I love it so much. And the dad is like, well, at least he has direction, Cher.
Which I still don't think is fair to have that expectation.
She's 15.
Exactly. But like, I mean, in that context, on a bigger scale, at 15, and you're setting your kids up for like college success, even if you go into a school undeclared, that's frowned upon. I mean, my freshman year, I was 17.
Yeah.
So like, 2 years is at like 15. He is looking at that. Yeah, where is your direction? I'm 15. What am I supposed to know to do with the rest of my life?
I don't know. I have no idea. Like, but I do like where she's like, yeah, my report card isn't ready yet. She's like, you taught me. Like, so I just thought this was like a jumping off point for negotiations. And he's looking at her like, all right.
I know. He's really skeptical. And then even Josh goes, what makes you think you can negotiate grades? She goes, every single other semester? Mm-hmm. And what? He's like, what? What? I didn't, in his mind, he was like, I didn't even know that was possible. He's probably recounting every single B, wondering if he could have gotten it.
He could have talked his way out of it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I love what Cher does, too, because we do get to see how she does this. She starts talking to her gym teacher. She says, an evil male broke my heart. She goes to Miss Geist, and she says she'll promise to write letters to the congressman. And then she goes to talk to Mr. Hall, who's the debate teacher, who we love so much. And he will not budge. And she's like, he needs
to get laid.
Yes, she's like, why will he not? I need to go to my safe space at the mall. What do I need to do? He needs to be happy. He needs a girlfriend. He needs a boink fest, I think is what she says.
That's what she says about him.
So we get the 411 on Mr. Hall, 47 single, and Cher and Dionne, decide to set Mr. Hall up with Miss Geist, and thus begins a lovely little adventure side plot.
Which I also love that the whole school acknowledges it was Cher's doing. And they're like, we're all doing well because you set this in motion. Thank you, Cher. We owe you our gratitude. And then when she updates her report card to her dad's like, you negotiated a C to an A. I couldn't be more proud if you had earned these. He's so proud. As a lawyer, he was like, that's my girl.
That's my girl. That's my girl. And it's really cute how Cher like sets them up too, because my note says that Cher, her handwriting, she just like printed that note. Like it's okay. It's in her big fluffy pen. It's just adorable.
You know, I was thinking in that with her writing the note scene, again, this was the 90s. Printers in school were obsolete. You're handwriting everything at that point. And you and I, we've joked about like knowing each other's penmanship. Even if we wrote an anonymous letter to each other, it'd be like, what the hell? Like, I know who this is from. So I feel like teachers would know too. Like, who wrote this? Especially if you're turning in stuff all the time.
And especially when it kind of looked, you know.
If I got that, there's no way I would think a guy wrote that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's neither here nor there. It does not serve the plot for us to poke holes in it, I guess. But I like how later on, just as you mentioned, Travis gives his tardy speech and Cher is like, you know, you have 2 tardies. And she's like, I was here for the Crimson Wave, Mr. Hall. And he's like, all right, women's troubles, I'll let that one slide. And then Cher's like, Miss Geist was right about you. Bro.
He was like, what?
He's like, what?
She's talking about me? Okay.
Right? He's like, she's like, yeah, Miss Guy said you're the only one at this school with any intelligence. And he's like, oh, bang, bang. All right. I love it. Right after this, we have our, you can get tickets anytime conversation, which is just so funny. And he's like, you need a supervised driver. No cruising with Dionne's. 2 permits does not a license equal.
Then she's always hitting up Josh. Josh, can you drive me here? Josh, can you drive? And like, I understand her positioning too. If I can drive better, you don't have to be in the car with me. Mm-hmm. Like, it works. It's for everybody's benefit, really. It
is so funny. Something else that is really funny to me is like Paul Rudd delivering this Marky Mark line. Just
well, how about the fact that it was 95? And,
I know.
And Mark Wahlberg wasn't the Mark. That was the other thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is when he was Marky Mark and not Mark Wahlberg.
If you do not know who Marky Mark is, please Google that. Please Google Marky Mark. You will be surprised if you don't know who that is. It might shock you. But thinking about Paul Rudd delivering that line now has me cracking up. Like, I just, like, Marky Mark. He wants to do something good for the community. But what this conversation though, I'm bringing this up, because this conversation kicks off Cher's driving need to like do good. Cause here he's like, you know, I would be shocked if you did something that wasn't 99 or 90% completely selfish. And this is where Cher is like, D, would you call me selfish? D, iconic, not to your face. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Right. But then Dionne, knowing Cher, she goes, what shit did Josh get? Like, what is he like fucking with your head about now? And she was trying to be like, but you know, and at this point, one could argue that she is trying to be a do-gooder it's still selfish because it's still for her to feel better. It's not selfless, which does happen later.
Yes. And at this point, she's still trying to like get her grades going with Mr. Hall. So this is where she we should mention there's some hard R's here.
Oh, yeah.
And some capital T's. Yeah, hard R's, capital T's. TARDS. There's a lot of that. There's a few of those. So, you know, hard R's, capital T's. So just saying. We have, though, the, like, I took my dad's coffee by accident. Like, you should go switch with Miss Geist. Like, have it, like, share it, whatever. We have the quick makeover of Miss Geist. Very cute with the clips.
She has, like, no idea what's happening. She's like,
it's like whoosh,
okay, see you girls later.
It is so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay. Jess, you mentioned earlier that there's a lot of kind of like fat phobic stuff here. I was such a heifer today. I had 5 peanut butter and M&Ms and 3 pieces of licorice, 2 bowls of Special K. Like, and she goes on and she lists everything that she had, which is not a lot if you add it up. I like distinctly remember that as a child, and I don't know why. I was just like, huh.
Well, remember when the Special K diet, it was all about like if you had Special K for 2 weeks straight, you would lose like 5 pounds in an inch or something. Like that was driven heavily from Kellogg's.
Yep, it really was. It really was. And she's like, I'm such a heifer. But okay. We have Mr. Hall and Geist have their little like moment on the bench. Old people are so cute. Old people can be so sweet. But it's true, I guess. But they're not old. Like the okay, all right. Neither here nor there. In the background, there are a lot of girls that have the nose job.
They're having like rhinoplasty and like the chin implants and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. And if you watch this with your eye on it, Elton is incredibly handsy with Cher the entire movie.
The whole time.
Yeah, he's always touching her.
It was never a secret. And then flash forward to like, when she goes, you have a picture of Ty in your locker. And he goes, well, it's a picture you took. Okay. Right. That, I mean, aside from like all the handsiness and everything, red flag. And then him constantly trying to get her in his car, her obviously when he's harassing her physically, where she's like she gets to the point where she gets out of the car and gets robbed at gunpoint because boy couldn't take the answer no. It reminds me of conversations where this is why people don't love the friends to lovers trope. Because she kept saying, Ty, you're such a good friend. And he goes, I knew you were into me. She was like, whoa, where did you get that with anything?
Yep, with absolutely anything. She wasn't in. Oh, okay. We'll talk about that more when we get there. But that is such an important scene. Okay, this PE scene. I have a history with this PE scene. Okay. So when I moved to the small Florida town that I moved to, I was, I think, 11. And there were some neighborhood girls that were like a year to 2 years older than I was. And I moved before school started. So I tried to make like neighborhood friends before I made like school friends.
Were these the girls who kind of like brought you in under their wing and showed you the cool?
These are not those girls. So I met these girls and I was like moving and like unpacking stuff and they came to the front door and I met them and we started hanging out just for that day. And like later that day, they said to me, you could be a farmer in those clothes. And I looked at them because I had not seen Clueless. And I looked at them like, what are you talking about? I've been like moving my house all day and like we've been playing in the yard for the rest of the day. What are you talking about? And they started to like chitter chatter with each other about it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. So I just like filed that away for later. These are not nice girls. They were never nice girls. Okay.
You know who I was thinking? I was thinking of the nice ones who like.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are not those girls.
Oh,
okay.
Those.
So, clock it later when I actually watched this movie and I see that they're talking about Ty wearing like just like overalls and like flannel. And I was like, oh, well, I was wearing that. Huh. They're bitches.
I was like, because in the context of this movie too.
Yeah, they're bitches.
It was not a compliment.
Yeah, they're bitches. So every time I watch this movie, I'm just like, with that. But then I hear the fantastic line that Amber says and Dionne responds to, and I did not understand that until I was much older. And that brings me joy.
Yeah, it's such a good one too, because Amber wants nothing more than to be popular and to be close to popularity in every aspect. And that's mirrored in seeing Cher wear something and going out and immediately buying it to emulate Cher, knowing Cher's popularity status, and not in the like girls sense of, oh my God, do you love this? Here's the link. Like it was never in that sense. Because Ty clocks it also. And Dionne sees it too. And Cher is just like, it's whatever, usually. And so the frenemy that Amber is, it makes it that much better. And with all of the other plastic surgery going on campus, this is the only one that Dionne is making that comment to of, there goes your social life.
Yep, there goes your social life. Oh my goodness. I say different characters say the title of this movie several times throughout. We have, I think the first one here, oh my God, look at her. She's clueless. Talking about our introduction to Ty, Brittany Murphy, R.I.P. She's clueless. Hang with us. Oh my God. Hi. I'm nervous. I could use some herbal refreshment. Well, it's lunch in 10 minutes. We don't have tea.
Yeah, I only picked it up this time, what she meant by herbal refreshments. And then when Dionne's like, well, we don't have tea, but we have Coke. And she's like, damn, y'all go hard here.
Oh, you guys got Coke here? She's like, yeah, it's America. She's like,
I know.
Okay. Yeah, these jokes that you get, like the more that you watch it, the older that you get. It's just really fun. And then we have Cher gives us our breakdown of high school. Here's the TV clique. Here's the Persian Mafia. Here's Ethan. Like, here's all the popular guys. Cher doesn't date high school boys. You guys talk like grown-ups. Woman, lend me $5. I don't like that. Excuse me, Miss Dionne.
Which I love. She goes, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this is a really good school.
And I can't remember if we brought it up in our Mean Girls episode, but the click breakdown scene is what inspired Tina Fey's click breakdown scene in Mean Girls.
It's just so good. It's so good. Okay, just tell us about the introduction here of Travis and Ty.
Travis and Ty are so sweet. They have an immediate connection. As Laura and I were saying before, he's our favorite little stoner boy with a heart of gold. And she's just in line. She's in line at the cafeteria. She's getting her lunch and they're just vibing. He likes Marvin the Martian. She can sketch Marvin the Martian and they're just vibing. So Ty comes back, sits down with Cher and Dee, and they're catching up. And Cher tells Ty, oh, it's fine to like hang out with Travis at parties. It's fine to smoke casually, but do not associate yourself with the stoners. There are cliques, there are perception, and and the perception in high school here kind of runs things. I know we've talked about this like on our first intro episode of like kind of our background with like the things that we loved. Was that ever a concern of cliques and who you hung out with? I know you shared some of your high school backstory in our female friendships episode, but like the way Cher and Dee are doing a breakdown of the cliques and Travis and like his perception as like an all-day stoner instead of like a casual party stoner. Was that ever like a huge thing for optics in your high school?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because your friends reflect on your family. Don't you love that? Small Southern politics. So everybody knew each other and you wanted to be friends with the people who had the family connections because it made you get into the upper echelon of societal things like cotillion, like the Mardi Gras stuff, like the little dances.
And even like the dating.
Yeah, even the dating. Because again, it's small Southern town. So yeah, it was absolutely like that. And for me personally, what it took was people in that level being exposed as shitty people, be that from the parents turn out to be shitty through one way or other, or the kids are shitty through one way or other, and that gets like the gossip chain, you know. Once that started happening, it was like, oh, well, I don't want you to hang out with these kids anyway. And that was very helpful.
It made a difference, but it takes a while to get there. I mean, my parents were never in those circles because they were both working. Well, that wasn't always the case with all of the parents at our high school, but I do remember having a crush on a boy. I really liked him. I still remember. I hope he's does well now. And I just remember I had a friend at one point. She was like, you can't like him. I was like, what do you mean I can't like him? I really we became friends. I really started liking him. And she's like, no, do you know what that would do to your social credibility, your popularity credibility? And as somebody who was like, I guess, quote unquote, with the right crowds, you know, because perception and everything, I was like, I didn't realize. And I was also the new girl, you know, in this high school, in this neighborhood. I was like, oh, I didn't know. Flash forward almost a year later, said friend was like, I think I'm starting to like said boy. I lost my shit on her. I was like, abso-fucking-lutely not. You told me and I stood down. You cannot, because I think I would have always had an underlying crush on him. But no way. You told me no. And I said, absolutely not. And she did not. She did not. But I just remember and I thought about it, watching this. I was like, I still know their names. I'm not going to say their names here, but I just was like, you know, how that sticks with you.
You know what sticks with me?
Tell me.
Cher eating a bagel with a knife and fork. You clock that here?
No.
You do it this way, you lose a little bit more weight. Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
But I will say, everything's weight loss centric in the 90s. Still kind of now. I mean, hello, Ozempic and Mounjaro and everything, and nothing against them. Believe me, I totally support that, for each their own. But it was just it consumes you. Even when her and Ty are talking about, okay, we're going to be better people. We are going to read one non-school book a week. What is yours? Mine is From Fat to Fit or Fab or whatever. And we're going to do these workout videos. And Ty is like, I'm going to read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Well, that's our makeover, which is what's happening right here. Do you like this makeover? This is the classic makeover montage.
This is a fun makeover. You know how sometimes makeover montages feel so forced? This just seemed fun.
It does seem fun. I like it, right?
Dionne is over it, though. That hair
my
flip.
God. The hair flip. She's like...
She's like, what did you drag me into, Cher?
Putting on the makeup. She's like... the face. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Cutting of the wardrobe, the little heart t-shirt, the skirt at the end. I love it. Working on the accent.
I hope not sporadically.
When Ty and Josh meet. Oh my God, it's so funny. But this is where Josh gives a little bit of insight for us. A little bit more character development too, because he says I can't believe it. You found someone, Cher, more clueless than you are to worship you. You have never had a mother. So you're acting out on Ty. And it's Cher's but the viewer, if you're a little bit older, you're like,
Well, yeah. And then on top of that, again, referring to flash forward and to what you said earlier in this episode, but flash forward in the movie, where she is the caretaker of the house. She is making sure everything is running smooth. So that's mirrored there as well.
Yeah, it's all interesting here. Brittany Murphy, again, R.I.P. Ty is singing the Mentos commercial. She has a fantastic singing voice. So I just want to bring that up and celebrate that. And I'll always celebrate Brittany Murphy. Gosh. This Valley party.
So fun. This is how in My So-Called Life, we were all they don't make them like they used to. This Valley party still reminds me of how parties used to be. more importantly, because they had cell phones. Obviously, the cell phones didn't have the same technology that they have now, but there was just like more interaction, more fun, more dancing, more drinking games, which, you know, just it was fun. I don't know. I just love a good house party. But thinking of good house parties reminded me of our My So-Called Life episode. And then how you were referring to like the house parties in Euphoria. And it connected to me thinking about this script and what you had observed in both of those scripts, where it's written the way people talk. There is there is there are interjections, there are filler words that makes this movie seem so real still.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, like really, ew, skateboards are like so 5 years ago, like gross. It is just so fun. Okay. Amber is wearing Cher's dress from the day before. First of all, the audacity, the nerve, the gall. We all saw Cher in that dress. Amber, what are you doing? Okay, just like that's my own little rant. But I like how Cher handles it because Cher looks fabulous in this red dress.
Of course she does. And in her platforms. And what does she say? She's in the Alaya.
She's in the Alaya. Oh my God. She just looks amazing. And I love, she's like spouting off advice to Ty. Like, this is how you get Ethan. Like, do this, do this, do this. Like, laugh here. Like, smoke this and laugh. Like, ha ha ha.
Make sure he sees you, but don't approach him first. I mean, these little moments that she has with Ty are those little moments of girlhood that we point out. I mean, between the makeover with the dancing, dance with each other, ignore him, but be in the presence of, when they're doing, I mean, not at this party, but like at points in the film, they're doing group photos and she goes, oh, Ty, get in closer. Like you are friends with us. Let's make a thing of it. And Ty is very much like, I've never been part of a friend group. This is really weird. I don't want to overstep.
I've never had straight friends before.
Their faces,
they're like
that line so hard. I was out to dinner like a couple weeks ago and they were asking me something and I go, I don't think I know any straight people anymore. I was like, I could count maybe on one hand on the straight people I know. And they go, this is kind of hilarious.
I don't know what happens. Oh my God. Okay. 2 things are happening at once here. Murray is shaving his head and having a blowout fight with Dionne. First of all,
you want to play? I'm real. Calling your mother.
He's keeping it real. He's keeping it real.
Well, and again, they're all 16 and she's like, you want to fuck around? Because they're in a serious relationship. So of course they probably met each other's parents at this point. And he's mocking her. She goes, I'm going to call your mother. And he's like, oh my God, you're calling my mother.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. While that is happening, we're following Cher and there's a suck and blow moment. Suck and blow.
This is another Elton thing.
Elton, like, it's gross. It's gross. He purposely drops the card so that he can kiss Cher. And
it's Cher, so obvious too.
Yeah. And Cher like pushes him off. She's like, "Oh my God, Elton, can't you suck?" Which is just like so funny.
Which is also like she's so pushing him away the second it happens. So then when you do flash forward to the car scene again, and he goes, "Oh, you were so into me in the suck and blow game." She's like, were we in the same room?
Yeah. It's like, what? No, that was a game. Okay. Before we get there, we have to have Ty get hit in the head with the clog and roll with the homies. This is just so classic. Like, rolling. Like, we're both doing it. Like, we're both doing it. It's so good. Of course, we have Ty singing again, rolling with the homies. R.I.P. Brittany Murphy. You can sing. But I love this.
You have to ask her questions if she has a concussion.
What's 7 times 7?
Stuff she would know.
Oh, it's good. And it's so cute. Here's a detail that I clocked this time. Cher is the one that puts the ice in the towel and puts the towel on Ty's head, which is interesting, and I'll bring it up later.
Well, and I like this part too, because Travis, despite how Ty has been pushing him away per Cher's request, sees that she got hurt, see that she's being rushed to the kitchen, and he is there like, Ty, are you okay? Is there anything I could do? And Cher's like, Elton's gonna help her. She wants you to go party. Leave her alone. Like, he has it down bad for Ty, so bad that like he's not seeing her red flags either.
No, not at all. But 'tis a far, far better thing doing stuff for other people, says Cher, who is like really kind of happy with everything because Ty is off, rolling with the homies with Elton, and she is like really happy here. And then Dad, where are you, Kuwait? Because the helicopter's flying over. God, that's funny. She's like, is that in the valley? Everywhere in LA takes 20 minutes. We love it. We love it. And this is where Elton manipulates his way into taking Cher home. And Ty goes off with Summer. And Jess, why don't you just take us through this whole scene?
So they pull over. Well, they're driving home and they pull over, they being Ellen and Cher, and she's like, I really value our friendship. And he's like, I do too. And then he starts professing. Well, he doesn't even profess his love. He gaslights her. He's trying to gaslight her into thinking she's the one who's had a crush on him the whole time. And she schools him, says, what are you talking about? I've been trying to get you with Ty. And then he starts saying, like, why would I want Ty? Like, do you know who my father is? Like, and then he talks about what we were saying earlier about the perception and the optics and everything. And she goes, you're so gross. You're such a snob. And he still tries to force himself on her. And then she gets out of the car because he can't take no for an answer. And he's trying to be like, get back in the car. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. And she goes, no. Like, I feel threatened around you. So of course she's like, okay, she's in the middle of a parking lot in the middle of nowhere in the valley, and she gets robbed at gunpoint. And her biggest concern, not even her biggest concern, she's like, here's my phone, here's my purse. And then when the robber was like, get on the floor, and she's like, really? I just gave you everything. And this is a really expensive dress. Like, that was her breaking point. So like, relatable, right? And then she finally, uses the payphone, calls Josh, and Josh is like, where are you? After he's like making out with his girlfriend in the dorm room. And, he's like, okay, like, we're going to pick you up. You owe me. And when he tells his girlfriend who it is, he doesn't say, oh, it's my sister. Because this could have been another moment where he's like, oh, that's my sister. Like, we have to go pick her up, kind of thing. It was another thing that I picked up this watch that made them drive home the fact that they don't see each other. They don't see each other as siblings, because he says, oh, it was Mel's daughter. Mm-hmm. And so like the girl, like his girlfriend was annoyed, but not because it was his daughter. It was just like, man, like, we were hooking up, but okay, like, I get it. Because in that car ride home, she's like giving her that, you're so much better than him. Like, and just like really deep thought conversations at 2 a.m. Clearly she's like a philosophy major or something. And Cher goes, Hamlet didn't say that. Mel Gibson did. Which I thought was so cute, because I feel like there are times, I don't know if you've had this happen, where I would reference something that was pop culture then, and I've had family to be like, no, Jess, that's not what it is. I go, yes, it is. This, like, I think I shared it with our Moulin Rouge episode about your song, and Elton John, I go, this isn't my song. This is called your song.
It's also sweet. Oh my God, because this is also where we have Josh like laughing with her at this dig at this girl. He's just like, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. And like the look, he's like,
I know. And then he drops the girlfriend off first, and he chases after the girlfriend. Because at this point, the girlfriend's annoyed that Josh sided with Cher, not her. And then they make out, and Cher's just rolling her eyes because she hasn't gotten to that point yet. She doesn't have a crush on Josh. She doesn't see him that way.
Yep.
She's just like, ugh, here's this annoying stepbrother of sorts. And he acknowledges it later, too. He's like, this brother-like figure, trying to feel her out to see if she sees him that way.
She's like, you're not my brother. Josh, you're not my brother. So and then the scene cuts right to Ty being like, "It's my hips, isn't it?" But we have a masseuse scene in here, which is also I believe the costume designer is the masseuse. She's like, "I didn't know what I was going to say to Ty about this," because obviously Cher has to tell Ty that Elton like assaulted her and like left her for like all alone in the middle of the valley. And this is where Ty says, "It's my hips, isn't it?" But this is also like girl friendship. They're like, we're blowing off school. Let's go hang. They have a lunch. They talk about sex. They define divinity they define virginity, which is also divinity. And they talk about like, you know what I mean? I'm technically a virgin, all this stuff. Hymenally, it's hard for me to say challenged.
Hymenally challenged. They're trying to be very, I don't know, sensitive to the issue. And then Cher goes, "What are you talking about? You're like you can talk." And that's when Ty is like, "Wait, you and Murray?" And she goes, "I keep my man satisfied. I don't need to define how I do that."
But then we have this, and I like how we establish that Cher is a little bit innocent too. She's like, "No, I'm saving myself for Christian Slater." And then she goes, "I don't want to be a traitor to my generation or anything, but I do not understand guys' fashion. It looks like they fell out of bed with their greasy hair and they cover it with a backwards cap. Like, ew." And then we have the line, "Searching for a boy in high school is as useless as searching for meaning in a Pauly Shore movie." And then we have
introduction of Christian.
There we go. Here he is. He arrives in debate class. Knock, knock, knock. Jacket over the shoulder. And Cher's like, "I'm looking for Ty, but, I could find someone else for me also."
Yeah, I can. It doesn't have to always be like, I can be happy for myself too.
And then we have the Cher, "It's time for your oral." What?
He's like, "Nice stems."
Yeah.
Which,
what?
like, Christian does have a little bit of riz.
Yeah, like, all right. And then Cher does her second debate, which is violence in the media, which she's like, if we can still watch the news, it's like, it's that thing, like, points were made.
I know. That's why points were made. She was not wrong. She goes, "You want to take violence out of the media? Why are we not negotiating peace? Why do we have violence in the news? Why will one... How are we going to do one if the other is still existing?"
My foot hurts. Can I go to the nurse? I laugh every single time Elton says that. Every single time. It's so out of the blue. It's so fantastic. Okay. Cher sending herself flowers and candy to her desk is so funny. How did she do that? Like, it's hilarious. Is this, okay, I know this is like debate class. Do you think this is also like homeroom?
I think it is homeroom because they do attendance. There's one in one of the scenes they do
cards.
Yeah, they do attendance in first period, and that it was like an overall attendance situation because they were reading off of everybody's tardies and stuff. So that's why I think it probably is their homeroom also.
Cher's little guide here: send flowers and candy to yourself, anything to give attention to your mouth, show a little skin. And then we have Christian, like, "Do you know any heavy clam bakes?" What are you? Okay. I always thought that was a little bit strange, but okay, Christian, fine. We have, and there's a party going on. Cher's dad is busy with a case, and then this is where all the lawyers come in, and this is where we have the you're not gonna let her go out like that, are you? Cher, get in here. What is that? It's a dress.
A dress.
Says who?
Calvin
Klein. Classic. Put it on a poster. I'll put it in my room. Like, it's just so good.
Put something over it. Duh, I was just going to.
Oh, it's so good. If anything happens to my daughter, I have a 45 and a shovel. I doubt anyone would miss you. Wait, you think the death of, Sammy Davis left an opening in the Rat Pack? Like, it's so good. Just read him to filth. It looks like underwear. Go put something over it. Daddy, I was just going to. All so iconic. Again, I should go to the party. As we said earlier, there's the smirk here. Like, all right, Josh, go to the party. Go to the party.
Just go, Josh.
Just go. Do you like Billie Holiday? I love him. Oh, it's good. It's good. At this party, which, fun fact, was supposed to be outside, but is inside because of the rain. We have the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones singing a song that wasn't on the radio for a while. Love that for him. We have Christian dancing. Cool. Elton and Amber are there. It's a full-on Monet. Looks good from afar. Messy when you get close.
Ty shows up, falls down the stairs. She's like, oh my God, that's all everyone's going to talk about. And Cher's trying to be dismissive of it as somebody approaches her. Hey, that fall, you okay? She's like, see? Then Josh shows up. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's here. But she's like, Cher is in girlhood mode. She's like, I'm having fun. I'm on a date with the guy that I like. But I'm worried about my friend. She's like very wallflowery. Nobody's like, I kind of want to be over there. Then Josh comes to dance with Ty. She's like, oh, Josh, he is like not a terrible person. They Josh is clocking the fact that Cher is dancing and Christian's dancing with the guy. And then they see Christian at the bar and some girl tries to hit on Christian and he takes her hand right off. And everyone's like, see, he's such a good guy. And Christian's flirting with the bartender. That's why he needs money to buy himself a drink. But in fairness, I do agree with him. He's like, what kind of bullshit is this? There's no open bar.
That's like a lazy warehouse party. Like, come on. Christian also stays for the after party, and Josh takes the girls home, which is again a really like clutch move. And Christian says like, I'll call you tomorrow. And Cher's like, all right, boy time. We'll see when that is. And I really like, again, this is growth for Cher. Cher's like, you know what we could do? Let's get some like really like rad bodacious takeout for the lawyers and like really they would love that. And Josh is like, yeah, no, that's a good idea. And that like serves nobody. So like
it was just because she wanted to, right?
Yep. And what follows is like a really cute, really solidifying the change in Cher and her mentality scene where Cher is like grooming herself and Josh is like, how many hours do you think you spend grooming? And Cher's like, sometimes I like just vegging out because my party clothes, maybe they're just so binding. And this is where she puts on 10,000 hair clips. 10,000. What is she doing? What is she doing?
She's not even setting her hair in curls. No. She's really just doing nothing.
She's doing nothing. It's so random. My note is like hair clips, LOL. What are you doing? But this is when Josh is talking about like, yeah, like my mom, Gail, calls and she's like, yeah, she wants me to come home for spring break, but like her new husband's kind of a dick. And this is where Cher is like, that's silly. Like, stay here. You can have your old room back, which is now totally different from how she was in the beginning of the movie where she's like, oh my God, like, why are you here? Like, just leave. She's actually asking to stay. And in the beginning of the movie, Josh is like, yes, I want to stay here. And now he's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want me to stay here? It's not going to be weird. And this is where they have the like high school party. There's going to be parties over spring break kind of situation. And where she says like, you are not my brother, like very explicitly, which I thought was also good. And then we have the really cute, like, this is Ren and Stimpy. They're like way existential. He's like, do you know what you're talking about? She's like, no, do I sound like I do? It's really cute. It's really, really cute moments. Jess, take us through this date at home with Christian.
Oh, well, I feel like this date at home, it's twofold because, again, you have the girlhood of it all. Your girlfriends come over. They're going to help you get ready. They start getting like, okay, they're going to help you with like prep for dinner and they're going to help you do your makeover. And she's just, at this point, Cher's like, this is the guy I'm going to lose my virginity to. And it is not. Christian is really there for them being just good friends. And he says that explicitly. I mean, she even tries to play footsie with him and she's like, oh, my feet are cold. And he goes, got you, puts a pillow on her feet. And then like she's trying to, snuggle him. She rolls off the bed, like all of this stuff. And then he's really trying to get himself out of a physical situation with Cher. He goes, oh, I'm really tired. I should get home. She's like, I can make you coffee. And he goes, oh, but like, I can't have coffee. I have ulcers. You don't want to exacerbate that. And she goes, but what about the mochachinos that you had earlier, your cappuccinos? And he goes, oh, but that's mostly foam, like anything to get him out of the house. And then he goes, but we're really good friends, right? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, okay. And so he gives her his cheek to kiss. So there is some sort of physicality going on there, but it's to give himself distance. And she's just like thinking it's her until Murray is like, you two, out of all the people, he is an Oscar Wilde reading, Barbra Streisand ticket buying person.
Friend of Dorothy.
And they were like, what? Oh. But I do, again, with Cher's growth and this movie, and then it's discussed and moved on. That's it. And I like that Cher, you see her at this point taking male-centric conversations out of her mindset and really focusing on her friends. And she goes, like, Miss Geist is really trying to help the world. Like this, like looking at the positives in everybody. And she's like, she and like Christian is like my favorite person to shop with. But meanwhile, as Cher is like the parallels of as Cher is growing as a person and changing, Ty is also changing, but focusing around, her conversations are focusing around male attention, and she's clearly never had it before, and everybody wants her, and she's a center of popularity. And even Travis tries to talk to her and she dismisses him, treats him like shit. Aren't you losers supposed to be on the grassy knoll over there? My heart broke for that kid. I was like, he's so good. He has such a heart of gold. In that moment where you're like, this is not, and then of course, we obviously will get to the fight that her and Cher have, where you're like, oh my gosh, again, they're both changing in very different directions at this point in the film.
Exactly. And I just want to point out, the thing that happens to Ty that makes this change happen is she is held over the balcony at the mall by some like dudes, and she's saved, and she just has like a moment, and Cher's like, she, as clueless as she was, she had the damsel in distress act down. And Cher's also wearing the green version of the maroon dress that both she and Amber had on earlier in the movie, which I thought was very interesting. But it is from this Ty being held over the balcony that rumors start to spread. And this is where Ty, her ego starts to get out of control. It's like, no, push down, make room for Cher. All of a sudden at lunch the next day, and Cher's like, what is going on? No, she was not held at gunpoint. No, she was not robbed. Like, no, she was not almost kidnapped. Like, what is happening? And it's where she's like, did I create a monster? Maybe? Did I? But also Cher is distracted because she has to fail her driver's test. It's very stressful.
How was your driver's test? Did you fail?
I failed the first time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I failed the practical the first time, and then I nailed it the second time. It was not a problem.
Was there a part that you failed at?
It was the 3-point turn. When I backed up enough to touch the cone, not even knock it over or tip it, but a touch was enough to fail. So I failed it then, which was
you
shitty.
had a cone. I didn't have a cone.
Yeah, I had a cone, which was like really shitty, but okay, whatever.
Especially with the cones if you can't see them too.
Yeah, like whatever. All right. But I did not have to drive on the road with an instructor. All I had to do was take a course in the back. I had to drive on the road with an instructor. No, not at all.
And I went down what I thought was a one-way street, so I was driving in the middle of the road. And it was not a one-way street. And my driving instructor, he was like, and I was like, that was one way. And he was like, it was not. And I was like, oh, it was a really narrow road. It looked like a one-way street to me. And I saw passed.
You still passed? Oh, my God.
They still let me pass.
Huh. Nice.
I know.
I do want to point out that before Cher fails her driving test spectacularly, she has an interaction with Lucy, her housekeeper, and they're talking about the gardener, and Lucy's like, I'm not your gardener, you tell him, and Cher's like, I don't speak Mexican, and of course Lucy loses her mind, rightly so, as she should, and Paul Rudd, what's his name, Josh, is like, you get mad if someone thinks you live below like Sunset. Like, it's a whole different country. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on. This is not crazy. But Cher, being kind of self-involved in this moment, is like, everything I do is wrong. I'm just terrible. Like, everything is wrong. All right, whatever. She fails her driving test and then comes home to Ty and Josh hacky sack. I'm making a she's all that reference.
I know you are. I love that you made that reference. I love it so much. You know how much I love that movie. Can't drop. Must keep going.
Keep until
it stops.
It's good.
We'll
do she's all that. Don't worry. We will. We'll do she's all that. Don't worry. It's on the list. Okay. But it is this hacky sack, that scene, that leads us to our burn box, that leads us to our fight. Take it away.
So already Cher is like, they're flirting. What the hell is this about? And also, why is my friend here without me?
Yes.
Question mark. And Josh is excited for her. She's like, how's it feel to have your license? And she's like, I wouldn't know. I failed. And she goes, and spare me your commentary. And he's like, I didn't say anything. She's like, but you're thinking it. You're thinking it. So then Ty comes with her burn box. She's like, I know life is really shitty for you right now, but me. So she wants to go through her burn box of the towel that she used, the cassette with Rolling with the Homies. That's their song. Whatever. You're rolling
Don't
your
burn
eyes.
that.
What?
Don't burn that.
She's like, don't burn that. Yeah. And
the
she's
towel.
Like, the towel.
The towel that Cher actually got and put ice in. Elton had nothing to do with that. And Cher doesn't say anything, and Cher lets her burn that. And I thought that was a good friend moment.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of moments where I feel like Cher bites her tongue a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then she's like, cool. But like, where is this spurring from? And she goes, I have a crush. And she's like, okay. And she goes, and my crush is your brother, basically. And she's like, what? Like, don't you think, she tries to be kind about it. Do you think you're good? Like, not, and less words. She's basically like, I don't think you're good enough for Josh. Like, I think he's a little bit smarter than you. And you're not his type. And she's like, oh, why am I even listening to you? You're a virgin who can't drive.
That was way harsh, Ty.
She's like, I gotta go. I'm outie. Walks out.
I'm sorry. She would not have been walking out of my house. Sorry. That Ring camera footage would be doctored because she would not be leaving. Because it's already established we got a 45 and a shovel. So, because I would have lost my fucking mind in my own house. No.
Yeah. I had a fight. I rarely get into physical fights. I've had yelling fights with people. I had a fight with a friend one time where we were going back and forth. You bitch, you whore, doing the things that women shouldn't do. And she called me the name of a person that the guy that I liked started dating instead of me. Popped her. And I walked away. I had never hit somebody until that moment.
As you should. That shit's uncalled for. Oh my God.
You actually know the person. I'll tell you when we stop recording.
I think I know. I think we should talk when we've mellowed. I'm outie. Oh no. oh no. Cher felt the chunks start to rise. She had to get out. We have our all by myself montage. Everybody hates me. Everything I do is wrong. I'm totally clueless. Self-realization.
Her walking on Rodeo to calm herself down. Those stairs that she walks down is actually really pretty during golden hour. If you like people watching, there's a bar across the street and you could watch everybody taking like their influencer shots. It's great. But I love where she's like really trying to like think things through. She's like, okay, let's think about it. She's like, I don't like Josh. I don't look at Josh like that. Why am I freaking out about that particularly? She's my friend. Why did I pop off on her? And then she's also like, oh, that's cute. I wonder if it's in my size. Let me just walk in. And I feel like this is a time, because she didn't have any purse or cards or anything on her, where there's like some stores that hold your account information. So you just charge it to the account. I feel like that's probably what's happening. And while she's working through her shopping spree of her emotions, she realizes wait a minute, I'm in love with Josh.
I love Josh. Before we get into I love Josh, Jess, I want to know the logistics of her walking in front of this fairy house. Is that anywhere near?
I tried to screenshot it. And then, of course, because of the way computers are now, you can't screenshot it the way I thought. And I was going to send it to you. I was like, you live here.
Yep. It's a famous house. I just don't know where it is in relation to where she was shopping and if that's like a feasible logistics situation. Someone tell us.
I don't think I know there's a lot of houses like that in Beverly Hills, because sometimes I just want to take my camera out and just do a joyride of all of the whole neighborhood. But I don't think it's walkable to Rodeo.
Yeah, there's just the logistics thing. Okay, moving on. I love Josh. I'm totally... what is it? But stupid in love with Josh.
I was going to say irrevocably, but that's from a different thing we read.
But now I don't know how to act around him. Normally, I'd prance around in my cutest little outfits and send myself flowers and chocolates, but I can't do that now. Not around Josh.
And how real is that when you realize you're like, crap. And then you're like, now I'm awkward. And he picks up on it. He's like, why are you being weird? Why are we watching the news? Because those are the things like she knows would interest him and is just trying to better herself too. And he's just like, okay. And then when she gets involved with the Pismo Beach disaster, which is a real place. Pismo Beach is real. I didn't know it was real till I was in a work meeting and somebody was like, oh, I'm going to Pismo Beach. And I was like, oh my God, it's real. I really had no idea it was real. And her dad looks at Josh and he goes, what's this shit? Is this your doing?
Your influence? Oh, it's funny. And before we get to our Pismo Beach disaster, we have the Cher, get in here. Why are you dancing in front of my office? I love this. But Daddy, do you ever have a problem that you can't argue your way out of? Tell me the problem. We'll figure out how to argue it. But I like a boy and he doesn't like me. Well, how can that be? You're the most beautiful girl in Beverly Hills. Like, oh my God. I don't think I feel wretched.
She's like, I don't think I want you to be with some boy who doesn't realize what he has in front of him. And she's like, if you knew, Dad, you'd really like this guy.
Yep. And she's like, I just feel like all my good deeds aren't enough. And this is where he's like, I have not seen such good doing since your mother, which is just so good. And this is where, going back to Pismo Beach, as you said, Jess, this is where Cher is like, no, I'm spearheading this. I'm taking charge of this Pismo Beach disaster. And this is where we get our little montage of her just like signing people up and like getting organized and like getting awareness, and Travis admitting that he's sober now and giving up his bong. Good for him. Well, 12 steps.
And also like when we talk about the growth with Cher and the growth with the characters in the movie, at that sign up that Cher is spearheading, the first table is Amber, and she has like a sex talk table, and you're teenagers in high school. That you would think that would be the hot topic table, and it wasn't. And it kind of shows you a growth of the community and the school at that moment too.
Mm-hmm. Some people lost all of their belongings. You don't think that involves athletic equipment? Daddy, you didn't like that red caviar. It's just so good. This is where Travis invites Cher to the Amateur Skateboarding League. And I do like that even though Travis and Cher have like not really interacted in a while, Travis is still very friendly to do this. And then as he's getting sober, he apologizes to Cher about her shoes. And again, showing the growth of Cher. Cher's like, what? Oh, I don't even think about those anymore. But also goes to show that Travis, that interaction with Cher really colored his view of her to think that before I can do anything, I need to apologize to her because this was very important. And she had moved completely past it. So again, like parallel paths in a way. Very, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. But then at this Amateur Skateboarding League, we get the apology.
The friendship apology, yes.
The friendship apology.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you have to walk me through this because I think Ty absolutely should have apologized. I don't know what Cher was apologizing for.
No, Cher didn't do anything wrong. Ty really took that out of left field after throwing this left field thing onto her friend after she had a very traumatic letdown. All of it was Ty did everything wrong here. No, I don't think Cher needed to apologize, but whatever. I guess it moves the plot along and shows that water under all the bridges here. But it does go to kind of shore up everything and to show that Cher can now focus on her crush on Josh because this thing is repaired. And not only is her friendship with Ty repaired, but Ty's also going to be with Travis. Yeah. And Cher is also fine with that now because she sees and accepts this general spark that she sees between them.
Yeah, and I think accepts Ty as a person, whereas Ty was a project before.
Exactly. Then we have our scene of Josh, our crabby lawyer, and Cher, where Josh and Cher are flirting. The lawyer's done with it. Cher screws up. The lawyer is over it and leaves. You know what? I don't need to sit with you while you play footsie with her. Whatever. And then we have the stair kiss.
I forget how quick the ending wraps up. In the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not even a back slide. It's just bam, we're done.
And he's and Josh is coming to her defense. And he's honestly, you're the fuck up. I'm just a freshman intern who is not even in any pre-law classes. And you have a I guess she's 16 now. 16-year-old who's looking at things. She highlighted everything. Okay, she misfiled everything. Nothing that. She's oops, so I put them in.
Yeah,
and honestly, she was I put them in these two piles. Well, great. Out of all the piles on the table, we'll just have to go through these two piles. He was really honestly making mountains out of molehills. And it is on him. He's the one who's getting paid.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But he leaves, whatever. We get the stare. Did I really ruin Daddy's lawsuit? And he goes and sits, Josh goes and sits with her on the stairs. You know you're gorgeous. No one cares about me. Are you saying you care about me?
How do you not stare? I don't care. Ugh. I get people don't date. I get this as a job. If I had Paul Rudd looking at me in my eyes, telling me, you're gorgeous. And with his beautiful green eyes, I'd be done.
Absolutely.
You want me to not fall for any of my co-stars? Couldn't be me.
Done. And then the cutest kiss. I think their kiss is so cute and natural too. She's like, Josh. And then it's this quick. I love it. I don't like friends to lovers, obviously. I don't like step-siblings to lovers. Jeez. But this, again, I know it's weird. You don't like
this step-siblings because you're all here for the Umbrella Academy.
I know. So but I like this moment between Paul Rudd, between Josh and Cher. It's just a very sweet, I like it.
Tangent for a second, because I know how much you love this movie I'm about to say. Was Overnight Delivery his movie after, his first movie after this? Or was it might be the object of my affection?
I have no idea.
We should cover those two.
He did Picture Perfect too.
Yes, that's he did you picture perfect. And the object, I loved him and the object of my affection.
Yep, lots of things. You know what happened next. Oh my God, as if I am 16 and this is California, not Kentucky. Burn.
Change the laws, though, for real. As we laugh, but like, no, really, change the laws.
Burn. This is Miss Geist and Mr. Hall's wedding. Cher's in it.
Yes, I love that Cher's a bridesmaid.
It's so sweet. Oh my gosh. So Dionne and Ty are there with Travis and Murray, and Josh is there too. He's like, hey, the bouquet's gonna get thrown. We got a pool going. Like, it's $200. She's like, I got it. It's in the bag. Cher fights like everybody and like Amber for the bouquet. She gets it. She nails it.
Which is so funny that they're fighting this at 16.
I know. Oh, it's hilarious. But then they kiss, and that is the end. It ends on their very sweet kiss. And bam, bam, that is the end of the movie.
And there's nothing... And I was going through the credits, and there was no like bloopers. I mean, there's probably bloopers out there, but specific to the credits that we've been known to discuss in the past, there were no additional scenes. There were no bloopers in the credits. It was just straight credits.
Do you have fun facts, Jess?
I feel like some of our fun facts have been discussed, but a couple ones that I wanted to bring up was that Reese Witherspoon, Angelina Jolie, and Kerry Russell were all considered for Cher, and that Zach Braff and Ben Affleck both auditioned for Josh, which really also would have been funny if Zach Braff was in this with Donald Faison, considering they're still best friends in real life. Like I think they've been friends longer than they haven't been friends at this point. Those are like, and I feel like we've kind of sprinkled the other ones in between the budget and the novel. I know you've brought up some, like the rain scene, it being filmed in the valley, even though it takes place in Beverly Hills. I know the whole movie was filmed in LA, so it was on location. I still think $12 million is such a cheap budget for a film. I mean, I say this casually as if like $12 million isn't great for any of us. But for a film, that's really low.
I think so too. I've got some. You want to hear my fun facts?
Please. I'd love to.
Okay. So we have the TV show pitches, No Worries and Clueless in California. Fun. I also had Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, yes. I did see that.
But she couldn't because of her contract with All My Children. Interesting stuff. Casting the role of Christian was difficult because actors didn't want to read for a gay part. Stacey Dash was the oldest at 27.
Oh, I saw 29.
Oh, I saw 27 with a 6-year-old child. So I would.
Oh, damn.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting with this. Brittany Murphy was the virgin who couldn't drive. That's like one of those famous ones. There was a book that was put out called How to Speak Cluelessly that would explain all of the jargon, because a lot of it was made up and it was like difficult, and sometimes the cast didn't even know what they were saying. The high school is named after whatever the name is. I didn't write it down.
The Branson Alcott or something?
Yes. That person is a very famous vegan and an advocate for feminism. And he is the father of the author of Little Women. And that high school is based off of the real Beverly Hills High School, which was attended by Alicia and Breckin Meyer.
Huh.
Fun stuff. Costume designer, same as Romeo and Michelle, same as The Wedding Singer, same as Never Been Kissed.
Oh my gosh. If we can get that person on the podcast,
I know.
That would be clutch.
I know. Same vein, there were 53 different plaid patterns, and 7 of those were for Cher. In 2010, Calvin Klein reissued the white dress due to just the general popularity of Clueless.
Please bring it back next year for the 25th anniversary.
I know.
Or the 30th. Oh my God. I can't math.
Yep. There are several scenes where Paul Rudd is wearing his KU hat.
Because he's a KU alum.
Yeah. This movie apparently was shot in 40 days. Very fun, very fast. Cher's original name was Hamilton, not Horowitz, and Hamilton is on some of the shots of her report card.
Yep.
Fun. The clog is fake. They had to put it in after.
The what is fake?
The clog that hits Ty in the movie is fake because the real one looked too fake.
Oh.
I know. Isn't that funny? Isn't that so weird? Tara Reid was on set for the Val party, but she was not like included in the filming. She was just like on set.
Oh.
Okay.
Maybe. No.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Maybe was she, I wonder if she was friends with Breckin Meyer before they started doing Josie.
Perhaps. That could be.
But you know what? It's like that 90s, like, you know how you had like the 80s Rat Pack and like you had like maybe it was like the 90s group. The early 90s group, not the late 90s group.
Could be. Coolio suggested Rolling with the Homies be included and that be it. Very cool. The shaving of the head, only the top middle of the head was shaved so that for reshoots it could be added digitally so it was still on the sides. Very fun.
Oh, so like it didn't look fully CGI'd. It was just that. Okay, interesting because I didn't notice anything.
And that's why there's also a lot of hats just in case.
Oh, that is a really cool fact.
Yep. Mr. Hall was based on a real teacher, Herb Hall,
who plays the principal in this movie.
Yep. Suck and blow. It was impossible to make suck and blow happen. They tried a bunch of different ways. So everybody was loaded with chapstick and there were holes drilled into the card that made it easier for them to do. But it was very, very difficult.
Interesting.
$200,000 clothes budget. Very cool.
That seems low.
Yep. The lunch scene was supposed to be in a California Pizza Kitchen, but California Pizza Kitchen didn't like the talk of all the penises, so they revoked the rights to show the branding. So
wait, the scene where it's the three of them post Elliot. Okay, I didn't know that was a CPK.
Yep. Well, that's the point.
But so they are filming in one, but they just don't have the branding of it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they made them take the shot in to take away all of the
Okay.
Paul Rudd was robbed while he was making this movie and his bag had the script in it. So that was scary for a little bit, but nothing bad came out of it. Christian's car is a 1954 Nash Metropolitan. Interesting. Alicia got casted because they wanted that girl in the Aerosmith videos.
Which I feel like that was, she was in a few of them before this role, right? Yeah.
Yep. The director and everybody kind of involved studied real life kids in high school to get the vibes for them. The Aliyah mugging scene is based on a true story. And this movie was not made by Fox because they did not like the romancing of the stepbrother and they were going to take all of that out. And so it was picked up by, I believe, Paramount.
Yeah,
and
Paramount.
They let her put all of it back in. And that is how we have the movie we have today. Fun facts, done.
And the Paramount makes sense because it makes the MTV content even easier because Paramount owns MTV.
Isn't that like... It makes sense, you know, saying these things out loud.
I love behind the scenes stuff at Hollywood. I'm always like, wow, this is so cool.
So cool. So cool. Okay. Jess, I think it's safe to say that you love this movie, yeah?
Yeah. I would say it's like a comfort movie. If I don't feel like watching a movie on a plane, but I like having a movie on, but I won't like connect my headphones in it, it's usually between this, Crazy Rich Asians, and Legally Blonde. What about you?
I love this movie. It's quotable. I think it's fantastic. The fashion has stayed with me my entire life. I wear knee socks and plaid to this day, not because I went to Catholic school until I was 18, but because of this, the variety, the shoes, like all of it, the pens, being obnoxious with school pens.
I love the fluffy pen. Do they even make fluffy? I haven't seen a fluffy pen in
No, I
ages.
haven't seen a fluffy pen in a long time. I'd love to see another one.
I don't even think they exist at Claire's if you walked in.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, this movie is just so wonderful. I've watched this movie with my mom. She's laughed at it. It is just really, really fun. Again, I have never been to California, so this is a very fun kind of like a time, a place movie for me, because I think I said earlier, like, this is dated. Like, the cell phones are old. Like, technology is old. The computer screens are old. But it works. There's so little of that in it that it doesn't distract or take away from the message of personal growth and environmentalism.
Yeah, I think it's just fun all around. It does feel timeless. You could take the technology out of, or, you know, the minimal technology out of it, and it still works. If anything, you see how resourceful everybody was without the technology. I mean, even when Ty is making plans, she's like, oh, can we make plans next week? I have this thing with Amber this week. And that's always something that you brought up with our Daughters of the Moon episode, was how there was intention behind your communication and making plans with people. Yeah. That being said, please feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have movie suggestions. These have been really fun, revisiting things and, again, seeing it with a different lens. Hope to talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.